welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. Some nice new faces. You jumped into the best class ever of the entire course. It should blow your mind out of your head and then your head off your neck. Let's hold on. Okay, we're going to start nice and slow. So before we start these classes, we tend to peel off the persona and the state of mind that we habitually live in to try and give ourselves some space to see what it would be like if we could have the mind of an enlightened being begin to open up in our experience of this world. Not tomorrow, not at some future time, but this thing you call you right now. What if that thing wasn't the way you thought it was? So to do that, we do this. The Tibetans have been doing these ritual things, which we Westerners learned. So we do na bing bing bong bong, and we do all these sounds. But what should be happening in your hearts and in your minds, in your conceptions, is may I be able to turn my experience of the entire universe into a perfected place, whatever that looks for you. You could have ponies with rainbows, or little dust of gold floating on everything. But every being on that world perfect. So you imagine it as we do this ding ding bong bong. And then you think, how can that be? How can that become? And we do that thing called taking refuge, which is you think of the stuff that we've been studying in this course, which is the ultimate nature of this big mystical word called emptiness. And all it means is that everything you experience isn't only the way you experience it. It's fully available to be anything at all. Anything. It is empty of having the nature only that you experience it. It has the full potential to be everything. So you think of that as we do bing bing bong bong, and you think, well, may my mind be like that, at least for the next 2 hours, as I consider, as I soak my mind into some ancient wisdom that's been on the planet for 2,600 years or something like that. And may I get a taste of that. May I wake up for the sake of waking others up too.
Sashi
So take a comfortably seated position. Now we're going to have a quick meditation. If you've never meditated before, you probably have. The point here is just be comfortable in your body. Try and park your physical body so it doesn't distract your mind. First, you scan the room in your mind and your position in it, and then bring your awareness to your body where it meets the cushion. Release any tension around your thighs. Your back is straight but not forced. Move up your torso, releasing any tension. Your shoulders, neck. And particularly your face. Relax your brow, the edges of your lips, and the corners of your eyes are relaxed, almost smiling. You feel the relaxation around your nostrils. Once you've scanned your body, just allow your mind to observe your breath. Just watch your breath entering and exiting your nostril. If you observe your mind jumping to something other than your breath, it's okay. Just as soon as you become aware of that, just bring your attention back to your breath. It can be a fascinating thing to press your mind tightly on the breath. See if you can feel the temperature difference between the entering and the exiting of air at your nostrils, or the almost tickling sensation of air as it passes through the tiny hairs at the tip of your nose. Any focus like that helps. And now I'd like to bring to mind your motivation for sitting in a class for 2 hours. As honestly as you can answer yourself, what is it that you think you will find? Why is it that you find yourself here today? It's just your answer for you, as open as possible and as deep as possible. And if you've got an answer or remnants of an answer, ask yourself why that, just why that. once you've got something, some reason, some motivation, try and get it clear in your mind, maybe simplify it or condense it. Why? Ask yourself if you think at any time throughout history has anybody asked that question or wanted a similar answer. And would there be people who would want an answer for that too in the future? People with similar motivations. And see if you can grow some kind of wish that you can help them sort that out, because you've found it out. And then see if you can imagine whether somebody in the past has had the capacity to fully understand that question and fulfill it. And imagine that you can have contact with their mind, that you can learn from them, that they are freely willing to teach you, and that they could appear by you at any time. See if you can generate a wish in your heart to find those answers truly. As soon as you can. And imagine the peace of mind that could come from knowing those answers ultimately, or having your motivation fulfilled. Just slowly bring your awareness back to your breath. And just without thinking too much, see if you can answer this question. Who are you? Just try and catch the first thing that pops up. Just quite unexaminedly, just plainly, who are you? Try and catch what comes up. See if you have a mental image or a concept of who you are. And then ask yourself what makes you you. as opposed to someone else. Pragmatically, what are the things that make up who you think you are? Don't try and give me the Buddhist answer, just see what your mind believes. What makes you up? And then gradually bring your awareness back to the room, to your body. And when you're ready, open your eyes and see a puppy dog. Okay, nice to have everyone here. Thanks for coming. We have a tradition in this class. The way I forced you to talk to each other was that I asked you to put up your hand if you were here last class. Should be about. Good. You're all bosses of teams, and you're going to grab one of these. You're going to look at the people that were here last class. Put up your hands again. Sorry. Hang around them because you're going to answer 4 questions together, which will give you a catch up on what we did last class. Yeah, so Jennifer, you take that, pass Javier, and you got like 15 minutes to do that. Then you'll get to see who you are, who your friend next to you is, you get to gossip. The answers are mine. That's not for you. You can have the answers if you like.
I want the answer, yeah.
You want the answers?
Do we have more?
Believe not. That's why you should be in groups. So if you're in a group, put 3 of your names on top. And Javier, can you maybe lead that group at the back?
I was
you were not here.
Class.
Steve, can you maybe lead that group at the back?
No, we keep that.
And Jacqueline, you were here last class? Yeah, maybe can you help this group at the front? Because Billy, you've got the corner there at the back, right? Thank you. You were here last class, right?
You just have your class 1, right?
That's right.
Yes? Yeah, I'm sitting here.
So put up your hand if you're not in a team yet. So,
Alright, so you guys are group.
how was your group?
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. You're glad you're not
What?
What about you and Sarah non-speaking?
Sarah did a Hector thing. I'll tell you about it.
No, this is the first time I saw that. Cool.
We did.
So,
I was expecting
do you have the answer key? Do you have to look it up? Yeah. Do you guys have the answer key?
We don't have Paul, he's not here.
But Jacqueline, do you pull it up? Yeah, that's fine. So they're all the same. Do you have the answer key, Billy? Do you have the answer key? You know how to find it?
started growing this back.
Yeah, can you pull it up in your phone?
There was a point outside here that
I'm the only one that was doing the random.
have the answer key here.
So it's the same as the answer key for homework? Because it's the same questions.
I mean, I wasn't here, but is it me and
One's an inborn tendency and the other one is
to grasp things existing and true. The learned form of the tendency to grasp things as existing and true. So that's the first one as existing and true. And the learned form and the innate form. Well, innate,
so when you learn about it, it's always really good.
Innate, I'm not sure. Innate means from birth. So or belongs to something from when it started existing.
At what point does a person on the body on a track of eliminating these two?
The innate form of the tendency to deliver that thing. Sorry, I believe she's going to say
Direct perception of reality.
to believe that things have their own nature, which has existed in our minds from beginning of time, and which is possessed by all normal living beings, both those whose minds have been or have not been affected by specific philosophical beliefs. So the innate one is going to be the fact that we believe that things exist on their own side, from like innate to inherent to self. The learned form of the tendency to grasp things existing in truth. A tendency to believe that things have their own nature, which depends primarily upon the mind being affected by specific philosophical beliefs. So the learned one is the one that we learn through our formation, specifically through philosophical beliefs, and the innate is the one that we possess as babies, then that we just like see things separate from us. Does that make sense?
No.
Do you want the answer here? Yeah.
I mean, it's good though. Stuff that there is to consider.
I'm not sure if I understand.
But the whole person
That's saying learned.
Neither any single one of our parts nor the whole you're not any one of our parts is stronger than. But why is it the case that you're not some
So we're talking about tendencies to grasp to reality. That is like ways in which doesn't mean that I don't know if it's necessarily absolute, because the fact that we still even under like say like our cognitive or liberalism or such philosophical basis, but you still see one and the other separate, which is an unique quality of them. So they're not exclusive from each other, right? So what you say is true because one or the other, there's just tendencies when grasping reality. I think. Thank you. Does that make sense?
So, well, the last sentence I think the learning form is that we are not any one of our parts. So you are not your mom, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But isn't it like the learned form is like you Marcel and I am? That's the earliest form of learning yourself. Where it's like when you form, you see that's wrong. And you see it. That's something.
So I was starting to do that, but I understand that sometimes in Buddhism, when they introduce separations and qualifications, they're very specific about the fact that the learned belief or the learned tendency comes from a philosophical doctrine. That's probably the wrong word. Huh? Right. It's like somebody else thinking like a world reaction of your reality. We can ask here. So what's the next one there?
It's a combination of the two of them.
Doing the class of seeing the moment of your direct perception of everything. The learning. That's when you have no more doubt against personal.
I could also explain to have this as a trick question, or it goes like,
Well, I'm just curious to know what you guys want to What was the first thing that came to
or
mind?
you also eliminate.
Well, they make some later because they make
It's a separate question.
you get that self-examination of yourself during the 8 Bodhisattva level.
Way you understand it
Right.
from a direct perception of it.
Correct. So that you
And then, but you're still carrying all these innate looking at
sexy for me.
Negative bias.
Well, I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's working out for you. That's
Yes, the 8 Bodhisattva level. Yeah, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. 8 Bodhisattva level.
I'm just wondering what
I am I actually still belong to a hell of
So then, getting down to
all the time possible. Yeah.
No Buddhist school agrees that there is a person which is not physical and mental right. But the middle way says that we are further neither nor one of our powers, nor the whole of it.
yeah, and then
We are not any one of our powers, such as the mind or the leg. But why is it that we change? We are not some of all our various why are we not moving on the wrong
I read it. No, before I read it, because I think so. The idea is that you're not your parts, because if you take a part outside of you, you're still you. You're not all of you, because you're not you. Something, the meaning of you is applied to all the parts together. So those parts by themselves are not the whole of you. It's actually not meaning that it's layer into those parts together.
It was something similar.
It's like very paradoxical. Like, is the whole of me, like, if you take my arm off,
There's something about that the me is over everybody.
Yeah, so here it says what the answer from that as well. In that case, if we took away one part, we could no longer exist. The middle sum of all the parts is not the person, or the image of the whole has been closed, open these parts by the projections, or by our past thought. you write x equals all the parts plus
That's projector drawing, projector, and karma inside the machine.
Right.
Projected to
Good, Hector.
I know, we said hi yesterday. You okay?
I got my
Do you remember Puppy Rinpoche? Ani Kursan? Apparently he's huge.
We are the
He's
projection.
like his own theme.
Okay, just 1 minute to go, ladies and gentlemen.
That concept of I that you have is projected onto yourself by your mind.
Of course. If I cut my arm off,
But the thing is that the illusion is what it is.
then all of my parts, mental and physical.
You said your
I'm not the sum of my parts. That's what
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you just detect you are
They closed down. Got kicked out. They didn't pay rent.
Now, why is it that we are not?
No, that's the statement that we just supposed to accept.
And you're
Yeah, and I'm saying
I'm gonna look.
Hey,
The interconnectedness of mind with the sense of being watched. And the sense of being about to be called on the phone by someone that calls you right then.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we ready? We ready?
Of course not. You never are.
Listening. You guys ready? Not really. Close to ready? Let's try it. Hey, I know. Tasha, join us. Join us.
It is an image or a concept imposed upon a collection of parts.
You look so much lighter.
You make, I thought it was so hard.
Maybe it's because you haven't seen the sun in a while.
That's what's the case. That happens.
That was a joke.
Let's go. I love the debating part.
We just hate your voice.
I did talk to Steve and I need to talk to you. Yeah. You know, like when morning suits get haircuts.
So, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Okay. I've really enjoyed listening to all your debating. I wish we could do that for longer. It's awesome. Human beings don't get to do this at the core submolecular level of consciousness which we're trying to get to. It's so cool to find beings that are prepared to do that in a room in Manhattan while everyone's getting drunk outside. You know, it really is really cool. You all answered the questions, right? And hopefully you answered the questions first with what you believed and then what you learned. Because your experience of it lies somewhere in between, the tension between what we've been learning and what truly comes out of you naturally. Yeah? Not truly, naturally. So who thinks wholeheartedly that they are this close to enlightenment, that they are stepping into enlightenment any minute now? Anyone put their hands up? Okay. You sure? Okay, cool. if you don't have that sense about you, you've probably answered all the questions wrong. Which is how you know how to fix it. Yeah. So we can discuss the words of the answers, but the meaning of the words of the answer, the spark in your awareness, will probably take on different meaning each time you look at these questions. And that's true. You know, that's because then if you knew the answer, like nobody could convince you otherwise because you've seen it, you've had an experience of it, then your answer would be your answer because you knew. And I'm not there. I'm not answering things that way yet. Sometimes in meditation, I'm sure you had some experiences in meditation in the last 10 days that you just came out of an awesome retreat where you had some certainty about what you were doing or some bliss of stepping into that. Yeah, even if it was, I'm sure I'm screwed up. Yeah. Even if it's that, but that kind of certainty. So I want to quickly, review the questions, because today's class, like I said at the beginning, is pretty heavy in an awesome way. You should get chills up your spine, because we're about to get to the... When Geshe Michael taught this class in the 90s, he was purposely not teaching the stuff of this class for all the years before, because he thought we weren't ripe to get to the essence of the essence of the essence. And when we got to this class, we were like, we've been meaning to ask that question, or those questions, and here it is, and we're all like, oh, it hurts, in a nice way. Yeah. Like someone's cutting you to get the poison out. Yeah. It's like, take it out. Like that. So let's go to the 4 questions in the quiz just now. What was the first one? There were 2.
Name and define the true forms of the tendency to grasp things as existing in truth.
Okay, so quick summary to all you people that I see that are newish or been here a couple of times. The reason we're talking about this stuff is because we've been studying for about a year now a book that deals how to get from living a normal human life that will all be surprised ends later to getting to become an enlightened being, to actually achieving Buddhahood or Nirvana for yourself, actually Buddhahood, yeah? As a real thing, not as some lofty idea. How can you have an experience of who you are, but no longer caught up and tripping in what is called samsara, but actually validly, truly have an experience of this thing you call you as being free from being tripped up, no more suffering, complete compassion for anything that moves, solid wisdom, understanding the nature of existence without doubt. So the book we're studying is steps to that, and the first 8 chapters of the book we're dealing on all these things that can be summarized as the 6 perfections, or 5 of the perfections, perfecting this impulse to give meaning, to give food, to give shelter, to protect, just this impulse to give, being a net giver rather than a net taker on the planet. It's one of the fundamental building blocks of getting enlightened, not consumption, the opposite. Then there's ethics, and then there is for reason, and then there is patience, which doesn't mean wait for a bus. It means not getting angry, of killing the state of mind that lashes out with anger. You know? Then there's joyful effort, coloring everything purposely, like coloring every experience, even the yuckiest ones, with some kind of joy, even if the joy is, I never have to feel that again. Beginning to train your mind to experience joy. Then the art of concentration, your capacity to train your mind so it's not driving you, but you're driving it, or flowing it. And then we get to this chapter, which is about wisdom, which colors all the other chapters, because wisdom is a synonym for understanding the ultimate nature of existence, the code behind the things that are making this world appear the way it does. And at the essence of that is this magic word called emptiness, and it's so out there, wow, emptiness. And it doesn't mean blackness. Master Shantideva talked about it. It doesn't mean nothingness. It doesn't mean nothing matters. It doesn't mean any of these things that are commonly thought of in the West. It basically means there is no self-nature to things, meaning things appear to us in a certain way, and that way ain't the only way they appear. In fact, it ain't that way. The essence of things, whether they're concepts, feelings, objects, tastes, thoughts, anything, does not have the nature of the way you are experiencing it. And simple proof is, if some other being walked into this room, puppy go, yeah, can you do some prayers on my mala, please? Please use them around your wrist, please. It cannot conceive of these things the way we do, and his conception is valid, just as valid as ours. This is empty of having mala nature. It's chewable toy nature. Seriously. And it functions that way, and something forces a being of that realm to experience these same things. Who's right? You or it? Who's right? It depends who's in the room, right? So if nobody, do some prayers. If he didn't see those things, and we didn't see those things, if everybody walked out and those things were left there with no observers, what is that thing? What is that thing if you remove all human contact with it, all animal contact with it? What is that thing? And your mind should come up blank. When a human walks in, all of a sudden it becomes a functional using mala. It is that. It really is that for us. It really is a sniffable thing. Nice sense. I mean, it's got a whole. You want some more? It's got all these meanings. It ain't food yet. Yeah. So that's all. So we're getting to the nitty-gritty. How is it then that we are? Because if you find out why this is the way it is, what makes it so, if you really find out, then you can find out what really makes that wheel over there called samsara so. What makes your life so? Because if you really know the functioning part, the thing that makes it turn on and work, then you can manipulate it to give you the result you want. If you don't know the code of the machine, you will put in the wrong code and get a broken result. Sometimes you fluke it, sometimes you won't. So the whole purpose of talking about wisdom, this thing doesn't have a nature like you think it does. Because if it did, you'd be able to make your life perfect, because you all want to be happy. Or at least, if you're Westerners, it's so funny, you know, in the East they say, oh, we all want to be happy. And everybody agrees, goes, yes, that's right, that's the teaching of the Buddha. We want to be happy. In the West, we're like, no, we don't. But if you say, oh, you don't want to be depressed and unhappy. Anybody want to be constantly depressed, unhappy, and suicidal? Then we go, oh yeah, that's us. Yeah, we understand it in that way in the West. We're weird. We're like, I'm not sure if everybody wants to be happy. We're so strange. It's a creature. It's a group of creatures. So the essence of understanding how we get there is if you understand what is it that's turning on our existence the way it does. Because it ain't the way you think it is. If it was, thousands of generations before us would have worked it out. And you'd be waking up in the morning going, I would like X. And you'd get it. But you don't know. You think you know. So you go to school for years and you got into $100,000 debt to be the lawyer or the engineer or the doctor, and then you try other things, the girlfriend or the cheating or the, but he ain't working. And it's not to depress you, it's like, okay, it ain't working, better figure out a new strategy. What is it? It better be the right functioning part so we can make it work. And that's the only reason Master Shantideva in 700 AD started with all these beautiful things at the beginning, which makes sense to us. If you're coming to Buddhist class, I like the beginning of his text, which said, oh, if you want to be happy, be kind. If you want to be happy, build compassion. If you want to be happy, don't get angry, have patience. And that sounds perfect, right? We're like, oh yeah, let's do that. And now he's like deep into the philosophy of what underlies all that. And it's getting, I mean, it was easier when he was saying, be happy. And we're like, yeah, we're good Buddhists, we're meditating. And now he's getting into the burrowing to the depths of your belief system to try and say, it's actually somewhere in there that it's producing all these things. Those other chapters will only work if you understand this wisdom. Cool? Everyone's good with that? And what fundamentally drives ignorance, or the thing that breaks our experience, the broken part of the cycle of samsara, is this two forms, right? Of what? What was the question again? Well, I didn't.
Tendencies to grasp the reality.
Is grasping to things to be the way you think they are. That's grasping to things as self-existent. This is a flower only from its own side. It only works as a flower, and I'll be happy ever after. This is a mala from its own side. It only functions as a mala, and if I go like that, Buddha will be happy with me, and I will be enlightened. If I do this to baby Jesus, baby Jesus is going to listen to me, and Hector's mom isn't going to die. But it doesn't work that way. Not that way. Sometimes you pray and miracles happen. Sometimes they don't. So, Master Shantideva is saying there's two things that drive the ignorance, the misperception that things exist from their own side. That's where the problem is. Because if we break that, we'll get to really find the code. And the one is, he called it an innate. Is that the first or the second?
The second.
The first one was the learned, right? So we get taught that. You get taught in science class that things come from atoms, or things come from chemicals coming together. That you learn it. Nowadays, it's the modern time perspective is that your mind has stuff firing off in neurons in your mind, and they are creating, and that's a really good explanation. But it's not the only explanation humans have been working with. It functions for us. It works really good. We understand firing off neurons and building patterns that way of chemicals that. But it's not all of it. It doesn't explain all of it. It's missing something. It's missing something. So one of them is a learned way of looking at things as self-existent. Oh, I figured it out. If I want to be happy, fire off the right chemicals in my mind. I better change my diet. I better do this. I better do that. And I will find enlightenment. I will find perfection. I will find happiness. Because I've just learned neuroscience. You just say that to the pre-neuroscientist, or the pre-neuroscientist, or the post-neuroscientists. I'm not saying neuroscience is a bad thing. It's a nice development. But you're humans for an eternity, sort of. Your mind is you for an eternity, not just this century. What happened to the poor bastards in the Middle Ages who didn't know about neuroscience? Sorry. They'll be saying that about you. Sorry. So the one is a learned one. So all this learned stuff we have, we figured out how to make airplanes and cups and things. Because we've learned a way to manipulate reality, but we haven't quite got it as it breaks. And we're disappointed. Oh damn, the plane crashed. I thought we knew how to fly. If it crashes once, you don't know how to fly. Oh, but it was an accident. Then you didn't know how to prevent that accident. Oh, but if we... Infinite. The second tendency is an innate tendency. There's something already in our minds when we enter here that has that propensity. That's why we teach it to each other in all the different forms we've been teaching it to each other throughout history. If you go unga 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 unga, then no bad spirits are coming. Oh, good, we learnt it, we figured it out. Except when we did unga 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 and bad spirits came. Then it didn't work. But we had learned, a whole bunch of society had learned that, and it worked. If you all go to university, you will be very happy. Promise. You'll get good jobs. You'll be successful. Promise. Sorry. If you're going through hard time with study, sorry. Oh, it's hard. It's hard. We all have these belief systems and we operate by them because we don't know better. Okay? Really, that's what it is. And I'm guilty. I'm still getting on that subway to get home because I think it'll take me home. Someday I won't. Someday I'll walk towards the subway and I won't get on it. Which means I'll take a cab. Thank you. Oh dear. Okay. So why is it that we're getting to the essence of wisdom? Why was that question? Is because to try to understand what is wisdom, right? Quickly, what's the next question?
At what point does a person on the Mahayana track eliminate each of these two?
Right, so you can. The good news about samsara is that one day you'll figure out everything breaks in it, right? That's the good news because then it will show itself to you. So you can break the breaking of it. And beings can do that. And in particularly these two tendencies, one the innate, one the learned, in your spiritual development, if you train your mind correctly, meditate and get these things called realizations because you're truly trying to experience these things, you can get rid of the learned tendency to see things as coming that way to you by this thing called direct perception of emptiness, which you only get to by developing an intellectual understanding of emptiness, meditating on it, and then one day you will have this experience where you actually caught the illusion and you could see how, oh, the world isn't coming that way. Those things are not the way I always thought they were. I've never had a correct perception in my life until now. And so that's the first tendency, the learned tendency of thinking things occur out there separate to you. You get rid of that at that point in your meditation career. And then the second one, you get it through the 8th Bodhisattva booming or level. It's a Bodhisattva, it's a summary for a Bodhisattva is a bloody do-gooder, a good person that's developed these ideas and has compassion, takes care of other beings in the world, and has developed wisdom and is beginning to habituate their mind, because the tendency to see things as self-existent is still imposing itself on you. But after enough practice, you do this, and then you realize, no, it's coming from me, until you no longer believe that things, there's not even a subtle nature that things are coming from out there, which means you are working in accord to the matrix. Third question.
No Buddhist school agrees that there is a person which is distinct from the physical and mental parts of a person, but the middle way says that we are further neither any single one of our parts nor the whole of our parts.
That was a wobbly.
It's easy to see that we are not any one of our parts, such as an arm or a leg.
Yeah.
But why is it the case that we are not the sum of all of our various parts?
It's a really good wobbly, right? He left us with that at the end of last class, because I bet you all believe you're the sum of your parts. I do. You know, even though I've been studying these things. That's what Hector is. Hector is all, I mean, we learn it, right? The whole is the sum of its parts. We understand the first part, right? If Hector is arms and legs and this kind of head and this kind of beard and my thoughts, if I remove any one of them, we understand that I'm not in my hand, right? If I, oh, is that where Hector is? Or is that, put it out there, where Hector is? We know we're not in the parts individually, but we do think we're in the sum of the parts. Okay? That's where we left off last class. We'll address that again a bit more today. What was the answer though? See if we can work from the answer backwards. Do you remember the answer?
Yeah, the answer is something like...
Which is the fifth question, right? If not that, then how?
Right, it's the... We are not the sum of our parts, but we are what karma forces us to see on the sum of our parts.
Yeah.
So we are really the projection of what we're laying upon the sum of our parts.
So there's something else at work there, right? Besides Hector's. So in classical Buddhism, you have this thing called the skandhas, or the 5 heaps. But you can summarize them into your body and your mind. Yeah? So it includes feeling, consciousness, like the main elements of your mind are put up there as the skandhas. Then you have one of the skandhas which is like contributing factors, which means everything else we haven't talked about gets dumped in that 5 heaps. But then you have your form, your sensation, perception, formation, mental formations, consciousness, and so on, are the heaps of a person. That's what they talk about when they're talking about your parts. But for us to understand, for us to actually get real about it, it just means everything you think you are, like we did in the meditation, is that really who you are, right? So if you pull it all apart and lay it all out there and say, there's Javier's legs and body, torso and eyeballs and all the fluids in a bucket and all the hair. That's a lot of hair. And then there's and then put his thoughts, his feelings in sort of in balloons, because they're gaseous, right? They float, so we better catch them. Yeah. So then we put them all there, and it's all that together. Whenever you get the same amount of that stuff and that stuff and that stuff and that stuff and that stuff, is that a Javier?
You serve it on ice.
Yeah, serve it on ice.
Depends on your context.
And that's it, right? We think it's quite simply, of course it is, because I pulled it out of Javier, and there it is. So there must be Javier. Pull it all together, it must be Javier. But the subtle thing, and it gets really fine here, is it can't be Javier until someone looking at all those things conceives of it as Javier. Then it's a Javier. Just like this is a mala or a chewable toy. It's exactly the same thing. I'm going to play with that concept a bit more tonight. And that's a wobbly for us. We don't like it. We like it much more when we say, oh, I'm not the parts, I've got that. I'm not just my mind, I'm not just my body. I am them together. And the subtle answer from the middle way school, Madhyamika Prasangika, there's 4 main schools in this philosophy, says you can't be that if you really are serious of analyzing. Because someone, something, some entity can look at those parts and not call it a Javier. Therefore, there ain't no Javier in there. And that's like, yeah, but that hurts my head, and how do I put that into practice? I'd rather just not be angry. But that's making me angry. Buddhism made me angry. So, we'll do this exercise. We did it last time Walter was here. And now we're doing it again. Based on what we just discussed, you think this is self-existent, right? You think this is a you read a down. Still with this
Right.
So, matek machepa, which means unexamined, unexamined and something else. So uncontrived, like without investigation, unexamined, without investigation. Now take my check. Look at this thing and just really see it without trying to be a philosopher, okay? And what do you see?
Pen.
You really do, right? That pops up in your mind, says
Pen.
pen. That's unexamined. So then I invite you again to look at the object that I'm holding and resist the urge to call it pen, and see if with your mind you can in fact see the parts of the pen, the thing that makes it, that suggests pen to you. If you remove the label pen from this object, right, have a look. What do you see? What do you see? If you see just the object, try and catch what your mind is trying to see here. Just give it a moment. Allow your mind to slow down the projection pen onto this thing because your eyeball ain't seeing pen. There's nothing in your eyeball that can see pen. Your eyeball can catch some other things, but not pen. Pen is not this. So at best you can say colors and shapes, right? You can say there's some darkness, and there's some silverness. You can say some lines, cylinderness, suggestive, right? Because of light play. Cool. So you can say they're the parts of the pen. Colors, shapes, etc. Like you said, they're parts of a person's body and mind. We're going to play with that today. But why the hell are we going to this philosophy class talking about? I've been holding up this stupid pen for weeks now. I thought I was in for Buddhism. I was going to be happy, and now I'm frustrated. The point of talking about this, like the point of Master Shantideva getting to these finer points, is because if you understand the pen, at some point, a pen in that circle, which means where you are right now, in samsara, a pen like the one you just saw, at some point will wear out. Meaning the ink will stop working. Meaning the function of a pen will stop working. You won't need a pen at some point. Or the hand holding the pen will stop working. Everything in samsara wears out, but you think it ain't wearing out. You think you ain't wearing out. The hand at some point holding the pen will wear out, and the body holding the hand will wear out, and the being that thinks they're holding a pen will wear out, because we don't understand where it comes from. And that wearing out is called dead. Like the pen will be dead, the you will be dead. And like the pen does not need to be a pen from its own side, dead ain't need to be dead from its own side. Really, the Buddha didn't teach, come to a class and you'll walk out and be happy in a samsaric way, meaning you'll just be peaceful as your relatives get cancer. He didn't teach that. He taught the promise of escape from four sufferings: birth, aging, sickness, and death. But not as in you're going to heaven, boys and girls. Not like that. From understanding that like the pen is empty. You just played with empty pen. For a moment for you it was cylinder and shapes and colors. Right? For a moment. And then it became pen again. You just proved the emptiness of pen. You got a glimpse that this object that is forced upon you to be pen could be something else. Because behind it lies not pen. My mind put pen on that. And if my mind put pen on that, what was it that projected that pen? We're going to get to it. Similarly, dead appeared, or birth appeared, or aging appeared, or sickness appeared. Just like pen, your mind ain't needing to experience that thing as dead. It's empty of that transition, that experience, that shift of your mind ain't need to be dead the way you think dead. Really. Like this is really a pen. Like the way you just experienced this, not being a pen for a second. And that's the point of talking about the stupid pen. So, how are we doing with that? Are you okay with that as the premise for the class? Yeah? I need to teach you some Tibetan words that are all over this scripture because they are important. So they're saying, well, how the hell is it a pen? And the short answer is karma. That's why the last question was forced upon you by your karma. Don't think of karma as someone dishing out good cards and bad cards, okay? Karma is not that. You're going to find out today what karma really is, hopefully, by the end of the class. In a sensory way, hopefully. Some force is creating in you, when I hold this thing, to be pen. Really, you think it's pen. And in the first answer of the last course, we learned that came from one of two things. Mommy taught you pen, you called it pen, we use it as pen, it's pen. The other one is, it's now that I've learned pen, I can't think of it as not pen. It's being forced to you much stronger. It's very innate. Yeah, it came with you somehow. That's why you all learned it so quickly from mommy and dad. Something innate says, like this is pen out there, that is flower out there, that is dog out there. I am me out here. And we're going to get to talk about the emptiness of the most fundamental thing, me and my parts. Me, what is you? That's why the meditation was the meditation. If you figure that out, you ain't need to be you like the way you think you are, in samsara, going through cycles. That ain't the way it is from its own side, like this ain't pen from its own side. So listen really hard and hold on, because it really is the this class is the fundamental building block of what makes all the other classes or experiences of being valid and workable. There are 1,000 explanations why we are the way we are. All of them, except the one presented here, and I'm not saying because it's Buddhism. It's because if with logic you understand it, it functions correctly to get you out of samsara. All others will lock you in to some self-existent view, which means it will die, it will fail, and you won't know why. So that's the importance of this class. So, we did the whole pen thing. I need to share a couple of Tibetan words. So if you've got a pen and paper, write down Dakshi. Dakshi, D-A-K-S-H-I. Does anybody who's been studying these things know what that is? Dakshi? Nope. What was that?
Dak is self.
Good. Dak is self. Shi. It's like a thing. It's raw data. Okay. The Dakshi, the stuff that's out there. Stuff. So it's the question that everybody was not asking in the 90s. I had it, but I didn't know how to articulate it. You know. And when I asked it, my teacher wasn't giving me the answer for years. I'm like, okay, so there isn't a pen, right? We understand pen is a metaphor for me, right? On every existing thing. Like this is a pen, I am me for me. And like this ain't a pen, when I look at what makes it a pen, then I mustn't be that either. If you understand the pen, you understand everything. Same for wall, for house, for happiness, for unhappiness, everything. So the Dakshi is the raw data. So there's 4 things I need to teach you. Dakshi is, there must be some raw data out there, right, that we're projecting pen onto. Yeah?
Is there a literal translation for Dakshi?
Just raw data. Yeah. I don't have.
Is Dakshi the same as samsara? Is that like the same thing?
No, it is not.
Unobserved stuff.
I can find out, because Dak is the self, yeah? But Dakshi, I can't remember what she is. So I can't give you the translation. Yeah, but in essence means the stuff, the raw data, the thing we call the pen. The next thing I want to teach you is 2 words that are synonyms. One is Ming, and the other one is Tanye, T-A-N-Y-E, Tanye. And this you'll hear in lots of Buddhist talk. So Ming is the general concept that your mind names an object, labels an object. When you see this object, millisecond later you're calling it, you have a perfect picture of pen. Even Javier was saying it's cylinder, right? But your eye can't see depth like that, like a shape like that. It can probably catch light differentials. Who added the curve? You can probably see the curve there. Sorry, take that back. Okay. I knew you were going to do that. He's like, I'll do that. So Ming is when you catch yourself saying pen, right? It's the labeled part, the labeling part, yeah? And Tanya is the same. So when you hear name or label, in name only, when you hear it in the scriptures, when the Dalai Lama's translator is saying, in name only, in term, imputed, yeah? They're talking about this part that is like penness coming onto the object, yeah? Imputed on what? On the raw data, on the duck sheet. Yeah, great, cool. The third concept I need to tell you is say dokje. And dokje is, this is interesting because if I was going to learn more about these terms, I'd learn more about dokje, because it's your mind, the imposer part, the thing actually pushing out the name and label. Dokje. Predominantly, that's where karma is sitting. That's the karma. Yeah. D-O-K-J-E. Yeah. As in jewel. Or yeah. Dokje.
Like Georgia.
Yeah. So the mind imposes. So there's the mechanism that is projecting the term or the label or the concept pen on the duck sheet. You got that so far? So you got the raw data, duck sheet. Then you got the Ming or Tenye, which is it's the name or label. They're both the same.
They're the same.
They're the same thing.
Yeah, they're the same. There's two terms for the same thing, Ming or Tenye. Yeah, and that's the penness that you see. But who threw it there? Who imposed it? Who was lancing it out? Dokje. Cool. That's where the karma's at. That's the stuff, that's the impulses. So karma ain't a card someone's giving you out. There's something in you that is got these impulses. So it's projecting a name and label on the raw data. Got it? So your mind projecting name and label on the raw data. And then the fourth term is a takchu. So Takchu, which is the result of the whole process. So it's in product or result, takchu, which is the beautiful, functioning, workable pen that you have so clearly in your mind. And when you hold this object, because we're just playing visually, right? When you hold this object, all of a sudden you've got way more raw data now. You've got sensations at the tips of your fingers. You get depending how much you press or you don't press, you get some kind of hardness or softness. Yeah, you begin to move it, you've got weight. All of a sudden you've got a whole bunch of new raw data that is being called something very quickly, hard, soft, long, that is then being, so it's being labeled, something's labeling it, some impulse is doing that. Why is that important? Because if I give it to another creature, it ain't having the same projections. It ain't having the same dokje, right? The driver, the thing projecting, the thing inside that, karma, right, ain't the same for another creature than it is you as a human. Don't be biased. Just because there's 7 billion of us, don't make us right. There's way more other minds on the planet that are perceiving this whole moving, complex thing in a completely different way than you are. And if we're going by numbers, we're wrong. The world ain't airy, solid. The world is probably mostly water, if we're going by majority perceptions. Yeah? That ain't cold water. And you're the odd one out. Let me get through and hold your question. Sorry. So, Matakma Chepa, which was, do you remember what that is? You're going to remember that term hopefully by the end of today. Matakma Chepa, unexamined. Yeah. If you leave it alone, it's just a pen. Is there a problem with that? No, there's a pen. You use it. I'm talking about it. It's helping us have a class. It's good. As soon as you begin investigating, Master Shantideva is going in a little deeper now. you come up to a problem, and we don't like the problem because our world, our way of organizing the world is working okay for me 98% of the time until I'm dead. Then I'm not so good. But until then, it helped me. I got the job. I went to university. I'm happy. Got the partner. I'm happy. Things are fun here. My leg broke. Oh, it's okay. I can fix it. I'll go to the doctor. Yeah, I got run over by the cab. It hurt, but it's okay. I've got insurance. So Master Shantideva is about to go a little deeper. What's the obvious question when we're talking about this? Do you get that the pen is empty? Do you get that?
Yes.
Pen empty of what? Not empty, right? Empty of what?
Penness.
Of penness. Yeah, the way we think of it as pen. That's cool. Let's apply that to you. So the whole thing is empty of being pen, right? Because we can look at its parts, the shapes and the colors. It's empty of being pen. If we apply that to you, are you just the way you think you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. You are just the way you think you are? Just pen? Just Stephen? The way you think of it? That's the only way you can exist?
That's the only way I think I exist. That's the only way I think I exist.
At the moment. Can that change?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Can this change? Yeah. Does it change because you want it to change? Think of, I don't know, pink pony wand.
Whoa!
It's still a pen, right? Think of it as solid gold. It's not because you wish it, okay? It's not the wishing. The impulse, the karma is something else. That's why we say forced on you by your perceptions, forced on you by your karma. Something is doing the forcing. Karma. Mr. Karma is running the show. Yeah? So, if you think you are who you think you are, solidly, I am this kind of person. Hector's a good person. Hector's not a bad person. I do good things. Then some person looks at me and says, I don't like you, Hector. I'm very offended. Because Hector's a good person. Not a bad person. You're wrong, so I'm going to punch you in the face. Or I'm going to embarrass you in front of someone else so they don't think I'm a bad person. You begin behaving incorrectly because you think it's out there. I am me the way I think I am. Anybody that disagrees either gets a punch, unless they think I'm better than what I think I am, and then they get, I'm my best friend. Hi. How are you? You want to be my friend? You're much better than that other friend. Dump the friend. Get the new friend because they think you're important. Thinking you are you leads to mistaken behavior. Not because it's bad to like another person from its own side, but because you think you're affecting the world out there and you're not. So Master Shantideva now goes into the obvious question, which is, we understand pen is empty, right? We can understand that I may be empty in a similar way. What's the obvious question? Why do I say me? We told you karma, so you should be happy with that. But that's a good question. That's a really solid question.
Where's the Lord David coming from?
Yay! That's the obvious question. $99,000 question. Pack my check up.
What was the question?
Where is the raw data? Is the raw data this? That's what Master Shantideva is going for real. He's like, okay, and that's what Geshe Michael. See, when I was talking about the boss as well, you know, in my famous TEDx talk, I don't know if you all seen my very important TEDx conversation. No, I was talking about my experience of the angry yelling boss. That it's not coming from the angry yelling boss, but just like the boss is empty of having that nature. But in that example, I was just talking about my feelings about the boss, wasn't I? Master Shantideva is going, what about having a boss in the first place? Is that shitty thing over there? Is that the causes of the feeling, the raw data for the feeling, right? Is that empty also? Is the cylinderness or the shapes and colors? Shapes and colors for everyone? The way we experience shapes and colors? What do you think Master Shantideva's answer to that will be? And then we'll dive into it. Is there really stuff out there? Be careful. Is there really stuff out there? Sam?
Yes.
There is. Really stuff out there. There is raw data. There's a color and shape in here.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Cool. Yeah, I was tricking you. Thanks.
Not necessarily color and shape, but there is data.
There is data, right?
But the color and shape is a name.
So we've gone, what's the movie? Inception? The levels of the dream? Yeah, let's go there, okay? Let's go there. I'm going to mix metaphors. I'm really good at mixing metaphors because I was born when I was really young. I've only used that joke 17 times. The metaphor I want to invite you to play with is Inception, levels of an illusion. Hotel California for samsara. You can check out, but you can never leave. Yeah. Check out.
You can check in, but you can never leave.
Anytime you like, but you can't never leave. Yeah. Because in the 90s, my teacher would use the example of the newest, biggest hotel in the world, which was the Moscow Hotel, that built thousands of rooms. It was the biggest, it was the most powerful thing, in the 90s. But people got lost in there, they couldn't get out. It was a nightmare, to be lost in room after room after room. So when I talk about what I'm about to talk about, I'll invite you to think of those two metaphors. Levels, like in the layers of Inception, and rooms of a massive hotel that you might never be able to check out lest you find out what got you there in the first place. Okay? Because we can get trapped by views of the way we think things are, and then we're living in that room for a long time and we think that's what it is. Never check out. So I'm going to invite you to think of those things. So Master Shantideva goes, is there raw data? And the answer, you've got to be really careful, right? Because the last class we said you ain't your parts, but you also ain't the sum of your parts until something projects onto it, name and label, imputes. Dependent arising means that. Dependent origination means that. It arose in dependence on my imputation, my name and labeling, the thing that's forcing me to see it that way. I ain't choosing want. I'd rather this be gold. It's not a choice like that. So then he goes into the two really important parts of emptiness, which is the emptiness of a person, you as who you are, and then the emptiness of the parts of the person, just like we did for this. He'll go dig in there. He'll go dig in the parts of the person. We already understood the pen ain't pen as a whole. Yeah? Now let's go dig and see if there's any penness in the parts, shapes and colors, or better still, if there is any you-ness in the parts that make you up. That's why we did the meditation we did at the beginning. So hold on a second and we'll do that when you come back from your 10-minute break.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. But at least it gives you something to think about. What if in the next 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, your mind gets to touch a concept that will shake samsara? Chew on some cookies and we'll see you in 10 minutes. Yeah.